Hello, Master Manifester. Today we're talking about manifesting a new you. But first, let's talk about what you is in your brain. You is a predictive program that your brain runs. Everything that we are, everything that surrounds us, is a system. And systems run in modes, which is common trends from frequent engagement, and cycles, which is how the program runs from beginning to end. And our brain thinks in cycles. It thinks from beginning to end of one program. When we walk through a door, our brain shifts to a new paradigm. It's doing this constantly. We don't notice it. So your personality is a sort of if-then protocol, and it is unconscious. This is how your brain predicts where safety is, what safety is, who you are, and what you will do. And all it wants to do is survive. So an effective program isn't one that feels good. It's one that is consistent, one that you consistently respond to. The matrix responds to engagement, not success. There really is no success. I mean, you can have success in that you got something that you wanted, but the story continues, and maybe that thing will go away, and then maybe it'll come back again. You see, so it's just an ongoing story. But your mind kind of thinks in sort of this like end story stage. So when you think of something you want, like I want a new version of me, maybe you want a version of you that's calmer, more peaceful. Maybe you want a version of you that's more excited, more outgoing, more interested in things. Whatever it is that you don't feel like your program is providing you with right now, understand that underneath is where all the decisions are being made. And it's only retrospectively, after the fact, that you interpret that you made those decisions. But brain scans show that we make decisions up to 10 seconds unconsciously before we're even conscious that there was a decision made. It is made in the presets. If this happens, then do this. This is why a lot of the time people say, I have no idea why I did that. And when you understand how automated our perceptions are, our brain will block out anything that does not align with the predictive program of our identity. Anything that's not aligned with our beliefs, with our memories, with our experience, with what our expectations are of what reality is, will either get rewritten or blocked out, like we'll ignore it. So if you've ever had somebody like you've tried to so hard explain something to them and they seem like they just either won't get it or just don't get it, that's the end of their program for that thing. And at the end of the program is terror, because the brain gets afraid and your nervous system gets afraid that you're going to die, that something bad or terrible is going to happen to you. And while, that might not always be true, obviously we live in a world where immediate danger isn't, always a thing. I mean, sometimes it is, but, an email isn't immediate danger, but your brain thinks it is. It thinks that an email from your boss is immediate danger. A bill you didn't pay is immediate life-threatening danger, right? Your system doesn't know the difference. Our systems are much, much older than all this new technology and these new social systems that we've built, right? It still thinks there are lions and tigers and bears. It's still looking for trouble, and it will always be looking for trouble. And it's really important to understand that no matter how much you change yourself, realistically, you haven't changed. You're still just the observer. That is the only part of you that will ever stay stable and permanent, is the observer state. Everything else is constantly changing. 5 seconds from now, you're different. 5 milliseconds from now, you're different. Change is the only constant, change and adaptability. And your brain and system is constantly trying to adapt. And that's why these automated systems are in place, because it wants to predict safety. It says, if we do this over and over again, we are safe. If we freak out every time we get an email about a bill that we didn't know what happened, that is making us safe. So you can't interrupt these programs. They're going to run. They're going to cause a reaction if they're already there. When the reaction comes, how you choose to interpret that reaction and how you respond to the physical, visceral reaction of, oh, you can even totally rant for a few seconds. But once you come back and look at the feeling, look at it really hard. This is what changes the program. The observation is powerful because it dissects and opens up and closes that old loop of a program. You're not responding the way that it used to. It's like if you've ever had somebody in your life that's been just not aligned with you. Let's just say that. Either that, let's just say that they were a total asshole, right? And nothing you did was going to change them. They were going to be an asshole. Every single interaction, no matter how you lined it up, no matter how you set up the conversation, it always ended the same way because your two programs were running together consistently, right? They were both providing you with an idea of safety unconsciously. And these two systems figured out a way to interact that even if it wasn't enjoyable, it was effective and consistently kept you alive. Do you see? And then that becomes part of your identity. Now, this can be why it's so hard to let go of some people who you're just not aligned with anymore. Your values are not the same. They're not treating you well, or whatever it is, for whatever reason that they don't fit in your life anymore. Like some people, you can work around it. You can compromise, right? But sometimes you get these situations where the person is either, deliberately trying to harm you, whether they're doing it unconsciously or not, doesn't really matter. The effect is the same. If someone is trying to harm you, psychologically, physically, any of that stuff, they don't need to be part of your program anymore. They don't need to be a system that you interact with, or as little as possible, right? You all know there's all kinds of circumstances. So don't think that this is judgment. This is clarity. This is not judgment. It's clarity. Understand you will never change their system. Only they can change their system. Even if they really want to, changing the system is super hard because the second you start those affirmations or those goals or intentions or whatever it is that you try to do to make yourself change, your entire system is going to rebel. It's going to be like, no, 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 no. This has kept us alive this whole time. Why are we making a change? And you need to convince your system that the change is safe so it can change your perception programs and allow more confirmation of safety around this new program. So let's say that you had a program where every time a car cuts you off in traffic, you start cussing, right? And you would like to be less upset about it. I like to complain about something. So I think that complaining is part of our natural human nature. And as long as it doesn't get out of hand to where you're becoming despairing, complaining can be very constructive. The French love to complain. I love how the French complain specifically because they're not complaining to be down about it. They're complaining to be constructive about it, to dissect the thing, to open it up, right? They're complaining to be philosophical. And it's like a national sport. It's amazing. I love it. But, if, say, this is something you didn't want in your program anymore and you wanted to change it, remember that your brain thinks that if you complain and cuss and, carry on when the car passes by, one, it relieves your nervous system. It's kind of helping it go back to a relaxed state because you're offloading that energy that was like ready for fight or flight, but nothing happened. And two, you do need that release. But two, it's also reinforcing, hey, I did this thing and I survived, right? I did this thing and everything was okay. So this has become part of the automation and part of the perception program that you will see and notice more when people do these things or when these things happen. Because it's almost like an exhaustion burst. Like an explosion of energy of this used to be here. Now where is it? And it often helps to put something else in the place too, if you can. It depends on the situation, If you can replace something in your mind, that's always better than trying to eliminate something, because adding more is really expanding your awareness, not taking away. And your brain doesn't like empty space. It literally will not do empty space. Something is going to be there, right? Whatever was there before, that's fine, but there can't be an empty space. It will try to fill it with something. So once you've got the inclination, the intention to make a change, I'm not going to get upset anymore when bills come. Let's just start there. Let's just start there even before like being rich. Start with that thing because you can be rich and still be upset when bills come. Because being rich isn't going to stop bills from coming. In fact, you're probably going to have more bills to be upset about. And your system's just going to raise the bar. And that's how we work. That's how our systems work. It will just raise the bar if you don't find a way to be okay with whatever is right now. That radical acceptance evens out the system and says, okay, we can make changes. This is safe. So when the bill comes in, what do we do? How do we get our new predictive program? New neural networks, new neural pathways come through neuroplasticity. This is the literal rewiring of the neurons in your brain. Okay. They will literally rewire the shape of your brain and how everything, all the electrical sparks function. So when you make that change, first the system's going to freak out because you're trying to make a really big change to the entire system. It may seem surface level to your conscious mind, but it's got to go deep down through every other system, every other unconscious program, every physical body somatic program, right? It has to get through all of that. So the somatic one is the one I focus on first the most because that's where the most visceral sensations come through. And when you have a good connection to your body, when you're paying attention to it, you have good body awareness, you're noticing the signals your body is giving to you. Your body talks to you all the time. It's talking to you constantly. And when you notice those signals and you start realizing, oh, this is a trigger, right? This is the trigger. Look at the trigger. Do nothing. Do nothing. You know, I once actually saw this in a dream, and it was before I knew of, I forget what it's called now, Wu Wei. This was called Chi Wei, though, and I heard about it in a dream, and I actually made me start looking up this kind of information. It's a really long time ago. And it was basically this device that looks sort of like a pillars, but with like a top and a bottom. And it had like these little pillars and columns around it. You would open it up and there would be these little scrolls in it that had like all these cool life lessons and stuff. And I woke up and I was really disappointed that I didn't have it anymore. But I remember this one particular scroll and it said Chi Wei. So I looked up what that meant, you know, and the literal words were like, you know, basically like still energy, energetically being still, being focused. You're active, actively focused, actively doing nothing. And Wu Wei is kind of similar. It's more of the arts of, you know, flow, but in this case, it's energetic. It's not just receiving. It's actively, aggressively being present and doing nothing. I almost think of this like my toddler moments, and I do. My ego has these toddler moments, and I'm just like, yep, I see that. And if you don't think you have toddler moments, you're not looking hard enough. Trust me, they're there, and they're so much fun. They do not have to be upsetting. They don't. You know, when the toddler moments come up, that is the most authentic version of yourself, of your system. And when it comes up, you really want to embrace it. Like it's your child. You are your child. You're your baby. You know, you're your baby and you're trying to help you consciously. You're trying to help you understand how to navigate the world in a fun, safe way, right? So when your inner baby gets upset and it starts having a toddler moment, oh, sorry. It's funny because it's so true. I mean, it's basically like your system goes haywire and it's like, I will not. You stamp your feet, you know? And that's really kind of how it is. When it comes up and it's kind of coming at you, right? You open the email. You realize there's this bill you didn't pay and it's late, right? And your whole body starts to have this sensation. Maybe it's a burning chest, maybe your ears are ringing, maybe your heart's pounding. It can be a lot of different feelings. But notice the change. This is the change. This is where you want to notice it. When you notice the change, stop. Big deep breath in, sharp, slow out. This resets the vagus nerve, activates it, calms your nervous system enough for you to just look at the thing. Do nothing yet. Once your system is calm, then address it. And I talk directly to my system. I talk to my unconscious. Sometimes I do it in dreams. Sometimes I do it in waking life. All the time. I'm always like, okay, this is what I want. This is the experience I want to have. And it's amazing how good the stories are. The thoughts, the feelings, the experiences that I notice now just from being so much more connected to every other part of my system. And I know there's more. Like, I know there's so much about me that I don't even get yet. This is the deep work exploration, right? The shadows are not just something that you don't want to see. Sometimes they're things that you need to see in order to move forward and progress in your story. And they are uncomfortable, you know, that's okay. You really gotta just be okay with the fact that being a human being is often uncomfortable. The discomfort is information. It is data. It does not mean you did anything wrong. It is not shame. You might feel shame, but that's when you look at the shame and you're like, no, this is just my automated system doing what it's doing, and the program is changing and is bringing that to my attention. But I hope this has helped you to understand a little bit more about what you're actually changing when you change your identities. You are changing your automations, you are changing your perceptions, and your literal neural network pathways. Everything in your system has to update. And that can be really uncomfortable. Sometimes it's going to lead to explosive crying, sometimes to that, inner toddler tantrum. I don't want to. I've had times when I'm like, I'm never going to try to manifest it. I'm never going to make another video. I did that today, actually. I was like, I'm not going to make a video today. Some part of my system, or maybe all of it, it's not hearing it. It's like, no, we're making a video. Get your stuff together. Start setting up the camera. And I'm like, okay. That's how you direct yourself. You get down deep and you get your system on board. And then it's like, you're gonna do it. Basically reverse engineer that, I don't know why I can't make myself stop, to, I don't know why I can't make myself stop doing good things. I don't know why I can't stop feeling good. I don't know why I can't stop noticing more abundance in my life. I don't know why I can't stop being grateful. Right? These are the programs we want. These are the programs that make life feel so good. But you also need to recognize that the other programs, the other emotions, the other situations are always going to be there in some form. And acceptance is the key to peace. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and sign up for the Method News newsletter in the description below.